Now, it's not everyone who can have a debut novel that's described as a monumental debut. Perhaps some of the success behind A Perfect Explanation is the fact that it is based on a true story, which is a rather remarkable one. Eleanor Anstruther is here. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Talk us through this family history of yours, which has made the basis of your book, because it is a remarkable story.
Well, it is. It's something that the bones of it, we knew as kids, that my father was sold by his mother to his aunt for £500. Which is, just as a baseline, is kind of extraordinary, but I think we'd all normalised it. So for us, we grew up knowing it, and it was just something we all sort of accepted until I thought to myself, well, this isn't quite right.
So what did you think initially when your father had said that? You said you normalised it, but...
I don't remember a moment when I didn't know it, so I don't remember what I thought. It was just, there it was, it happened, and it was only until, I think 15 years ago, when it occurred to me I didn't know my grandmother's name. And so I went to him and asked him and started asking him about the story. And it was then when he started to talk about it and really opened up with, you know, giving me as much as I wanted, really, in terms of information, that I realised, you know, that there was a lot more, obviously, to this than just a kind of a thing that happened and oh well.
I mean, it sounds harsh and cruel and uncaring, but is there a mental health issue with your grandmother here?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we're diagnosing in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I think it's safe to say she suffered from depression, postnatal depression. And actually so did her husband, my grandfather Douglas. And possibly as well for her postpartum psychosis. And all of those things were in the surrounds of a very Victorian sort of era, even though it was the Edwardian era, where you put these things aside and you pulled your socks up and you didn't really talk about each other's emotions. It was more about passing on a family name, in our case, and ensuring that the inheritance was passed on also, and particularly to a boy.
Right. And in terms of A Perfect Explanation, how do you get something which is so, I mean, obviously so personal and delicate in some respects? How do you then begin to sort of fictionalise that and use it as a base?
Yeah, well, it was difficult. It took me 10 years to figure out how to do it. And in that time, I think, there I was in my studio with all of the characters in the book, real people, talking to me in my head and trying to give me their version, really, of how it could have happened. And in the end, I had to say, OK, everybody now quiet, and give my perfect explanation of how this could have happened. So it's a fictionalised account, but what I've hoped to do is really put aside who was right and who was wrong, who was bad, who was good, and just see it as human beings, people who made mistakes and didn't care for each other. And put money first. And I think that, as a result, I hope that it's a compassionate look at mental health, depression, and how people can go so badly wrong in treating each other.
And what sort of personal journey did you go on? Because you were unravelling facts about your own history.
I was. It was very difficult, I won't lie. I felt I had to go through each of the characters, my ancestors' experiences, as I understood their actions. So for each one, I suppose it was cathartic, certainly for me, and I like to think for them in a way, because they each got to kind of have their voice and have their moment. But it was very hard, and in the end I had to put aside the fact that I was a daughter and a granddaughter and approach it as a writer, so that I could create a narrative that also made sense in the framework of a book. But it was hard and brilliant to do as well, and really satisfying, and I've been really touched. Its reception has been people have been so kind and nice about it, and I've been really touched.
After 10 years of work on this, it's nice to get a good reception.
Really nice, yeah.
But Eleanor, really
nice.
good to talk to you. Thank you very much
Thank you.
indeed.
Thanks so much.